the kitchen with this guy who always cracks us up, Chef Ken Hall. Great to see you.
Great to see you.
He is an area chef, been at some of the top restaurants, and also he's a dad and husband who's just like us. Kiddos back to school?
Yes!
I know. I think all of us parents did that. What grades are they in now?
I've got a senior, a freshman, and a fifth grader.
Oh boy. So you got a busy family.
Oh yeah, we're running.
And I love talking with you guys, fellow chef friends, about how you get dinner on the table and what are some of your quick, easy fixes. Because you're just like the rest of us, got to feed the family after you come home after a long day.
Right.
So this is fun. I've eaten plums out of hand, but I've never really thought about putting them in dessert.
Well, the main reason I do it is it's hard to get a ripe plum in Green Bay. I don't care what season, I don't care where you're buying them. It's really hard because they ship them green and they never really ripen right.
Okay.
So what I found to do is I cook them into sauces. I make my own plum sauce for spring rolls, things along that line. But then I just love the flavor with the plum and the cinnamon. So I started playing around with them in a crisp. And I came up with a really quick, simple crisp recipe to use the plums that they don't have to be ripe, because you're going to get the sugar and the cinnamon in there, and then it's going to be nice and bubbly with the nice crumb topping on there with the whole oats in there. Absolutely a fantastic, quick, easy. Throw that in the oven while you're eating dinner, and I guarantee you they'll stay at the table for dessert.
I guarantee it too. And my saying, magic happens at the dinner table, and if you promise them something good and a special treat at the end after a long day, that's just, you look like a rock star, and I love that. And you're so right about plums, because I stopped buying them. I want to buy them, but you get them home and they're rock hard, or they're overripe. And
and then
mushy.
they get mealy and they get real mushy.
I don't like that at all. But I like plums, and it's something different. We eat a lot of apples and oranges and bananas in our house, and something different.
And peaches and nectarines, you can at least ripen those.
Right.
But plums, for some reason, I don't know what it is, but I've never had good success ripening them. So I started cooking them so that I can concentrate the sugars.
Yeah.
And
get that great flavor. Oh, I love it.
Fantastic.
Okay, so you don't need to peel them. We're just going to slice them up.
Right, and my little trick is I go across, and I just roll the knife that way, and then you twist them.
Easy.
So it's easy peasy.
And a real little pit, huh?
Real little pit, and if you just move it side to side, you can usually just pull it out with your finger.
That's easy.
And then again, it's rounded, so when I do it, I just let the peach or the plum naturally roll. Keep your fingers back and just let it roll, and then you get nice slices like this. So you can just real quick and easy just roll it and get your wedges. Then we're going to mix them in a bowl, and because they're not ripe, we're not going to get all of the natural sugars out of them.
So we need a little extra sugar.
So we're going to have to add a little bit of extra sugar.
How many plums do we use here?
This was 5 plums cut up. So I mean, you get a sizable amount out of. They're small, but you get a lot because you don't waste. There's not a big pit.
Yeah.
And then we're going to sprinkle just the top with sugar. And then here I've got just 2 tablespoons of flour and a little bit of cinnamon.
Okay.
Just because I really, really like the cinnamon with them. And then I'm just going to kind of toss these together. It's kind of like when you make an apple pie or something. You want to toss your filling with your fruit and let it sit. It kind of creates the juice a little bit. Well, that's going to happen in the oven here.
And that flour tightens it up a little bit, so more like a fruit gravy. I know that's not a good word for it, but you get the idea. Instead of running all over.
You can use cornstarch, but for whatever reason, the cornstarch with the plums I avoid. I'll use that with peach. I'll use that with nectarine because they're juicier. The flour seems good enough that it's not jelly.
Okay, got it.
So then what we're going to do is I'm going to steal just a little bit of butter from my topping. Pesky flies, they're everywhere.
That time of year.
Yes. And so I'm just gonna real lightly butter this.
Okay.
And then we're gonna add this right into our baking dish. And just kind of flatten that out.
What I love about crisp and crumbles, I'm not a huge baker because I don't want to mess with the pie crust. And this, you've got the same great flavor. In fact, I love the crunchy top even more than a regular pie crust, but anybody can do this, and it's just so quick and easy.
Well, and you can really use any fruit you want. So if you've got peaches, you've got plums, you've got nectarines, you've got apples.
Or a mix.
Or a mix,
Sometimes I do a peach and raspberry one that,
And I like nuts. Hazelnuts goes really well with this. Your almonds go really well with this. I stay away from like pine nuts, sunflower seeds, things like that. Your bigger, heartier, crunchier ones, they'll work really well. So you can sprinkle some of those in your topping, and then you get a whole different,
crunch to it.
profile to it.
All right, that was oats.
This was a cup of oats, and I had a teaspoon of cinnamon on top.
Okay.
Now I'm using the same bowl.
Okay.
So that way, you know, you don't want
Love
any
that.
more dishes that
Yep.
you need. And then we've got a cup of brown sugar, so
Okay.
it's equal parts your oats and your brown sugar.
Okay.
And then we've got 3/4 of a cup of flour.
I'm smiling here because no shortage on the topping. I mean,
Oh, no.
no skimping on that.
No, you can't skimp on that. And then I've got 2/3 of a cup of butter that I just popped in the microwave for 15 seconds, just enough to soften it so that you can mix it.
So it doesn't have to be ice cold. I always thought it had to be really cold.
Not for a crisp.
Okay.
For a crust, you want it cold, but not for a crisp.
What if you melted it? Does it not work as well?
You end up, the topping stays too flat.
Okay.
And you don't get that nice crumb to it. But this is one that you kind of get your fingers dirty, because I like to break up any of the larger clumps of brown sugar that you would get. And you just kind of mix this together until you get that nice crumbly.
Yum.
And it takes a second, but then it comes together. So that way you get those big clumps of that crispy topping. And that's the first thing people pick it off before it even gets to the table.
Yep. That
All right.
smells so good.
And then we're just going to pop this on top. And we're going to mount it all on there. It goes in a 350-degree oven for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how quick your oven bakes. And it's done when it is crumbly and
Here's what
bubbly.
Yeah, you can see it in the color. The juices that releases. Oh my gosh.
Yep,
wow.
and that's what you want. You want it nice and bubbly like that.
Beautiful. Now, I would serve this warm out of the oven with a nice scoop of vanilla bean ice cream, and I would be a happy camper. You're doing fresh whipped cream?
Fresh whipped cream with a little bit of cinnamon in there.
So it kind of carries the
It
cinnamon
just
from...
kind of carries everything together.
Yeah.
Now
Let you go ahead.
I kind of whipped this for a second, so it's not going to take too long. I pre-whipped it. You can buy Cool Whip if you want, and then just stir in a little bit of cinnamon.
Ooh,
But that's all you
that
want.
looks
It's just a
amazing.
little bit.
Wow, wow, wow.
So now when you go,
Oh yeah, it dripping all over is how you want it.
if you want it nice and bubbly,
I went to the fanciest dinner party over at the Lambeau Field, and the most fun part about it was at the very end of the night, instead of doing some fancy frou-frou dessert, 5 layers of chocolate mousse, they brought out warm crisps and little ramekins with vanilla bean ice cream, and all of a sudden the party got lively and everyone smiled, and it was like this.
everybody loves a crisp.
Yeah, they do. Oh my gosh, find me a spoon and a fork for that one. Ken's going to stick around, and we are going to do peanut butter pancakes. Really?
Well, peanut butter is healthy.
Yeah.
Bananas on top, almonds in there, so it's going to be sweet, going to be delicious, but it'll get them through it maybe third hour.
All right. It sounds really fun. I'm interested in this one. And the recipe for this Plum Crisp we'll put on our website. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.